Hi folks, welcome to the show. And you know what I love? Having a longer attention span than most people. That's why I'm getting pretty sick and tired of movies being just 100 minutes long. I mean, you blink and you're practically at the end credits. So what if we could take the story of those movies and stretch them out to 6 hours? But no one wants to watch a 6-hour movie. So what if instead we split it up into 20-minute segments and release one of those per week? Kind of like we're taking a different spin on the format of a movie, but what would you even call something like that? Okay, so you have a successful movie. How do you capitalise on that? By taking 10% of the budget and producing a mediocre direct-to-home video sequel, of course. But what happens when that just isn't enough? Well, if we take another 10% from the sequel's budget, we should have just about enough for a Saturday morning cartoon.
It's brilliant, brilliant, brilliant!
A popular movie spinning off into a TV series is nothing new. A popular Disney movie spinning off into a TV series is even less new. The idea dates as far back as the early 80s with Welcome to Pooh Corner.
Well, there are certain private places on your body that nobody is supposed to touch except you.
The idea dates as far back as the late 80s, where Chippendale's Rescue Rangers was originally pitched as a series based on The Rescuers, but was rejected as a full theatrical sequel to The Rescuers was already in production. Executives. Don't you just love them? The first true spin-off from a Disney animated movie was The New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, which, considering the original movie was just a collection of shorts, it translated to the format of 11-minute stories flawlessly, even despite Christopher Robin suddenly becoming American for some reason. Following this, many more classic and recently released Disney movies would be given their own series, such as The Jungle Book, The Little Mermaid, Aladdin, The Lion King, The Jungle Book again for some reason. Most of these shows did their best to recapture the same feel as the animated movie, just on a much smaller and cheaper scale. Then there was Timon and Pumbaa. These spin-off TV shows were everywhere from the late 90s to the mid-2000s. Then, after that, they just kind of stopped, with the last notable one being The Emperor's New School. That's right, there was nothing else after that deserved to be remembered. Shut up. Well, then in 2016 came the announcement we would be getting series based on Tangled and Big Hero 6, two shows that would redefine what a spin-off could be. Both of these shows pick up right where the original movie left off and feature an overarching story that is spawned from the consequences of the film's ending. They expand on the characters and continue their journey in a compelling and believable way, expanding on elements from the original movie rather than simplifying them, bringing back most, if not all, of the original voice cast, and in the case of Tangled, bringing back Alan Menken to write new songs. And Big Hero 6, the series, is being handled by the same duo who created Kim Possible, so you already know it has some great villains. Please, if you haven't checked out either of these shows, do yourself a favour and watch them, especially if you're someone who's been begging for a sequel to either of these movies. You can find them both on Disney+. Sort of. But since then, we've heard nothing about any more spin-offs like these in the pipeline, which I find a real shame. Especially with Tangled having ended recently and this upcoming third season of Big Hero 6 most likely being its last. So I thought I'd go over a few Disney movies that I think personally deserve this treatment. Now this is the point where I should probably make a joke to transition to the next segment of the video. I know most people want a theatrical sequel to this movie, and at this point, I think that's probably going to happen. But I've always thought the best possible continuation for Zootopia was as a series, since there is only so much of the world you can explore in a 90-minute movie. When making Zootopia, there were so many ideas for how this city works that we never got to see because of the limited runtime. Whereas a show could give us a chance to explore each district in detail and see just what life is like in the various parts of the city. The series would also open up so many more possibilities for Judy and Nick's character, with big multi-episode story arcs that develop them more than another movie ever could, showing the progression of the relationship over an extended amount of time. You can easily imagine all the stuff they could do with a longer overarching story, the mysteries they could introduce, the dramatic plot twists, the phenomenal traditional animation. Naturally, I'd want Jennifer Goodwin and Jason Bateman back to voice Judy and Nick, which would likely be the biggest issue with making a series, but I'm sure they could work it out just like they did with Mandy Moore and Zachary Levi for Tangled. Even if they have no other choice but to get sound-alikes, a Zootopia series would still be one of the coolest things to ever come out of Disney TVA. Why was there never a Mulan series? Tarzan got one, and there's so much more you could do with the characters and ideas of the original movie. Mulan is an amazing protagonist that would easily fit in amongst the ever-improving diversity of the Disney Channel lineup. In my opinion, the best route to go with a Mulan series would be an educational action show. You'd have the same intense action from the original movie, but also moments teaching its audience about Chinese customs and traditions in a way that wouldn't feel forced. Episodes could be about Mulan, Mushu, Shang and the rest travelling to far off places to carry out missions for the Emperor, or they could just be Mulan living with her family and Mushu hanging out with the ancestors. While it would be nice to get back the songwriters from the movie in the same way that Alan Menken returned to write the music for Tangled, that might be a little more difficult since, you know, Mulan was 20 years ago. I wasn't even born then and that makes me feel old. But really, I couldn't care who was writing the songs so long as Lea Salonga was still singing them. I really think following Tangled's formula of 3 21-episode seasons with double-length specials with a new song every few episodes would work great for a Mulan spin-off. There are so many Disney movies that could easily be translated into TV shows, but Mulan is one I'm shocked they haven't even attempted yet. Okay, hear me out. Pick up shortly after Moana returns from, you know, saving the world, and she's about to become chief. Then go in depth about her people learning to wayfind again. You can have this balance between smaller stories set on the island and large globe-spanning adventures. Of course it'd be ideal for Lin to return to do the music, and I think they could feasibly get him. The one concern is how packed his schedule is right now, between his reoccurring role on DuckTales, a new animated movie he's doing the songs for, and trying his best not to have the Little Mermaid remake turn out completely awful. He might be a little busy right now, but honestly, I'm not sure I'd entirely want a Moana series if it wasn't him writing the music. Another issue would be the challenge in getting Dwayne back to voice Maui, and that would be an issue I don't see them being able to resolve, and we'll probably have to deal with the sound alike, but I don't think there'd be anything standing in the way of getting everyone else back. They could do so much with the world and these characters, it's just begging to be turned into a series. Bonus points if we can get an art style that looks something like this. Now when I started writing this, I originally thought this was nothing more than a pipe dream. I mean, Princess and the Frog was the big attempt at bringing back hand-drawn animation, and while it made money, it still underperformed by the company's standards. The only reason it hasn't fallen into obscurity is because Tiana is a Disney princess, but there is no way they would ever give it a continuation. Then this happened, so apparently Princess and the Frog is a viable franchise now, meaning something could actually happen. It probably still won't, but I mean it's slightly possible now. But unlike the rest of these, I don't want a Princess and the Frog TV show. I personally can't see the movie fitting 22-minute stories. I mean, maybe they do something like giving Tiana and Naveen the power to transform from humans to frogs, and Dr. Facilier could be trying to get revenge on them from hell, kind of like Rasputin from Anastasia, but all that just sounds weird, forced, and contains one of the reasons a lot of people view the story of the original movie as problematic. What I do want to see though are Princess and the Frog shorts. Just 3 to 5 minute stories of Tiana and Naveen running the restaurant, getting a chance to spend more time with all these characters, and the shorter runtime is just an excuse to give us the same animation quality as the movie, or at least something close. I don't really have a lot to say about this or go into the reasons why it would be so great outside of the fact that I just want it. I want to spend more time with all these great characters. I want to hear more of that big band jazz music, but most importantly, I just want to watch Tiana be happy at finally achieving her dream, but then asking the question of, what now? That's something we never get to see in Disney movies, and Tiana would be the perfect character to explore that question with. Tiana has done nothing but work for this for so long, and now she finally has it, so what's the next step? More than any other Disney movie, Princess and the Frog is one where I really want to know just what happened after Happily Ever After. Guess we'll just have to keep wishing on an evening star for it. And there you have it, every Disney animated movie that I think deserves a spin-off. If you don't count The Great Mouse Detective, Treasure Planet, Meet the Robinsons, Sleeping Beauty, Sword and Stone, Oliver and Company, The Aristocats, Robin Hood, and of course another Jungle Book show. Because we need at least 3.